All right, folks, it's been a minute, but we're back. We are the We Don't Quite Know podcast. We're
Workshop.
working on that. Yeah, we're workshopping on something new. Maybe gonna get a little more legit in the fantasy football podcast game. But these are things yet to be seen. What we want to do today is we want to go over the crazy, free agent frenzy that's been happening over the last week or so. We want to talk a little bit about how that impacts teams, not only in the NFL but in both of our leagues. Um, we also want to talk about maybe how that impacts some rookies and possibly how that impacts like maybe the top of the draft in the NFL. So just as names are flying off, we're gonna just kind of give our 2 cents and pros, cons, and who's gonna really be benefited from this stuff. What do you think, Jay?
Let's do it. I'm excited. The football season's officially here, Free agency really kicked off everything. And a lot of movement, that's going to have a lot of impact on everything that we're doing for the next couple months. It's going to be
Yeah,
cool.
no doubt, no doubt.
It's going to be cool.
So we're going to start out here with the quarterbacks. All right. Uh, Jay and I are following these free agency signings and whatnot, as is everybody else. And the blockbuster is clearly Kirk Cousins. So Kirk says, sayonara to the Vikings. He's had his time there. I think, when you look at his entire career, he's only ever, after his first 4 years as a rookie, he's only ever gotten full-fledged contracts, right? Fully guaranteed. So good for the guy. The guy's just been making money
Did,
since
did
he's
you
entered the
see?
league.
He is the fourth highest player in NFL
Yeah.
history. Fourth highest player, like nuts.
Well, it's all guaranteed money. He sometimes he settles for less than quote unquote what he's worth, but it's always fully guaranteed. So I think it's great strategy. I mean, he's probably doing a lot of investing with that guaranteed money. But long story short, Vikings to Atlanta, a great offensive cast to a great offensive cast. I don't think Kirk skips a beat. I mean, obviously you have the Achilles tear, which is an interesting thing. He's a pocket passer. It's not like he runs a lot.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I just like it's not going to have an impact like that. He is
yeah,
still
I mean,
he's slinging
it's
the
the
ball.
latest, right? It's the like you look at um Arizona, you look at Kyler Murray, and his Achilles tear. Um, he was looking a little slow at the beginning of the season, but he's a runner, right? So you knew it was going to affect his game. But, as the season goes on, he looks more and more comfortable moving on that leg. You look at Aaron Rodgers and he hits it right. I mean, if you're going to get injured like that, a severe injury like that, you're going to want to happen in the preseason or at the beginning of the season so that you at least can fully recover. Kirk's happens a little bit into the season, and the time frame on like actual return to play is kind of tight for next season. I imagine Kirk calls up Aaron Rodgers and says, "How do we work on this thing so we can get out of here as fast as you are?" Um, but we'll see. I think the first couple of weeks is going to be rocky. I think week 1 to week 6 will be kind of like middle tier quarterback status. 15 to 25. But once all those pieces start to get used to each other, the freaking sky's the limit. I mean, this guy's always supported. I want to say like a top 12 wide receiver. Like he's always just putting somebody out there who's going to be a top
And guess
producer.
guess who that's gonna be this year? You guessed it, Drake London.
Yeah,
Who,
Drake
who's
London.
who's
I'm
in,
glad that I have Drake London in your league, but you sniped your own brother in my league for Drake London.
I have Drake London in two leagues, and definitely pretty happy about the investment. 'Cause, Drake London has been okay, but he has been putting up elite like statistics in regards to like yards per catch, where it is in that very elite tier. Like if you even want to go, I know we're talking about quarterbacks, but here we go. Um, the problem is that he just there is a very few targets. You want to see those targets really more creeping up towards the 130s and the 140s. That is 30 extra targets across 16 games. Those 30, 40 targets, those are going to mean something right there. 905 yards, one or 866 the past 2 years. It's just zero, 6 touchdowns in total. Like those numbers are going to go up. So
Well, the other thing too,
I'm
you're
excited.
100% right. The other thing too is, I mean, look at the targets and look at the receptions. I mean,
Yes.
you're almost at a 60% reception rate. I mean, that's definitely going to go up with Kirk Cousins. I mean, we got people who actually can throw a ball out
Yep.
here, not people looking like they're throwing Nerf balls. So the idea is that even with 110, 117, one, we know his numbers are going to go higher. We know he's going to end up being 120, 125, 130 total targets. And what's going to be awesome is just to see the actual receptions. I mean, imagine gaining 900 yards just off of 70 receptions. And the quality of the targets is going to go up. It's not going to be short stuff, quick slants, hitches, right? This is going to actually give Drake London an opportunity to really adventure the field, right? You don't have people with noodle arms who can only throw 25 yards total to him. Kirk can do all of it. He can do the middle stuff, the quick stuff, the deep routes.
And so
It's
can
going to
Drake,
be
so can Drake London though. Drake London can do it all. So
no, that's what I'm saying. Like Drake, what I'm saying is that Atlanta's previous quarterbacks, they were basically scheming passes. It was all short stuff, hitches, smoke screens, quick slants. I mean, every now and then you'd see a deep ball, but they never connected.
yeah,
So there's going to be a lot more connectivity and a lot more variability in the route choices from Kirk to London versus London and any of his previous quarterbacks.
it's gonna be interesting. Definitely a really great move. But you're saying this even like obviously this is the big quarterback that everyone wants to talk about. What's kind of wild is that it was pretty instant. It was when did this happen? Like 12-10 on Monday. So I really wonder what happened with the whole like Vikings relationship. So like didn't I feel like obviously they've been talking, but it seemed pretty made up that day that this is exactly what was happening. So I wonder
I
how.
think Kirk, yeah, I think Kirk just made it clear like I'm gonna get my usual contract, which is totally guaranteed, that he's literally been getting since he was a rookie. And he probably said, guys, I'm gonna go see who's gonna give me the most guaranteed money and I'll give you the chance to match it. Probably called the Vikings back up and they said, yeah, 180 is not in our wheelhouse, buddy. And a franchise moves forward.
And he does four more years out here. It's kind of crazy, but should be interesting. The Falcons are they should be a good team. And
Listen,
new
Arthur
new
Smith was
offensive.
not a good coach. Arthur Smith was not a good play caller, but man, him and that organization drafted well to support a veteran quarterback
Hmm,
for, the last 4 years of his career,
hmm.
apparently.
And the new offense coordinator, I think it's Zach Robinson from the Rams, and Raheem Morris, I believe, is the head coach. Um, uh,
Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
a good deal. That's a good duo right there. Raheem Morris, more defense. You know, I truly do believe that is the elite tier of like what you want your head coach to be. If you have a head coach that is defensive focused and they are a player's coach, your team is going to take off as long as you also have a really good, savvy offensive coordinator that actually knows what they are doing. And this is
Yeah.
a model for success right here. I know a lot of people always said like head coaches should definitely be more offensive minded for the quarterback and stuff like that, but overall, I just think a defensive players coach is the way you kind of want to go, and then obviously have a good offensive coordinator. I think that is
Yeah.
what I'm seeking for out of an organization, essentially. That's why the
Yeah.
Jets.
You want the
Yeah,
synergy. You want the
exactly,
synergy.
exactly. But Kirk Cousins to the Falcons is it's wild. We Drake London, Kyle Pitts. That's
Yeah,
all
Kyle Pitts
that's
is
gonna
in a
tear
whole
up.
new place, and
Mm,
Kirk Cousins played with Dalvin Cook all those years, and you're going to see a lot of those screens, dump off passes. Your boy Bijan. All three of the weapons should go up significantly. I will be honest. I think Kyle Pitts will be the least to feed. Um, you know, throughout the whole year. I think the entire team will, a lot of chemistry will be created this year. I don't know how crazy of a record they're going to actually have because it does take a lot to get in sync again. Also with the Achilles tear and him just getting used to his body, but all three players have the opportunity to be top 10. For Bijan, top five at his position. For Drake London, top 10. Kyle Pitts, top three, top four. In their positions respectfully. So the other thing too is Atlanta's sitting here at 8. They got all these weapons. If Atlanta, if someone like a Rome Odunze drops to them, I mean, they could just continue to, stockpile this weapons house. But I definitely see them saying, hey, we just got a veteran quarterback. Let's keep him upright. He has an Achilles tear. I could see them going offensive line. So I don't really know what they need on the defensive side of the ball. I haven't really, I know Atlanta is kind of known for like drafting edge rushers and D linemen from time to time early on.
Oh,
But
that's what I've seen. That's what I've seen that they're gonna get. They're gonna get Dallas Turner. That's
I mean, that'd be great for them. I mean, the two greatest things you can do for a veteran quarterback or really any quarterback in general is make the trenches on both side, hell for the other team. So I could definitely see them going O line or D line depending on the value that drops them at 8. 8 is a pretty solid spot in this draft. I think 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These teams are going to get a lot of opportunity for really valuable players because of how high quarterback and wide receiver is going to be valued this year. So if you're someone who's looking for a defensive player or an offensive lineman, anything after 5, you're in a pretty good spot. I mean, I hope my Giants go for either a wide receiver or bite the bullet and trade up for franchise quarterback. But like I said, Atlanta's in a perfect spot to just shore up protection and bolster the defense to allow Kirk Cousins to just flourish.
for sure, for sure. All right,
So
let's move
the next name on this
here.
list is Baker Mayfield. Not as big of a splash, but man, did that guy do such a good job in Tampa Bay. I mean, him and Mike Evans are like they're like this, man. They love it. They're doing great. Baker's always been a short and deep ball thrower. He's kind of struggled in the middle of the field throughout his entire career, but apparently in this offense, he's figuring it out. And man, that deep ball looks so pretty. Going to Mike Evans. So the Mike Evans owners, they're happy. I know Mike Evans, restructured his contract, and Baker Mayfield owners are just lovely. Love seeing that 330 point top 10 quarterback in a PPR league. Basically a guy that was left for
Best
dead.
season of his career. Best season of his career.
Yeah, the guy was left for dead. So,
Yeah.
if this is what we expect, moving forward, this guy is going to be talked about a lot differently for the next 6, 7 years.
It's kind of even like looking even at the startup draft here, like Ben got him at the 1506 in the startup draft. I'm really wondering where he went in our other league. Because
Oh,
that's
when we drafted years ago, yeah, we drafted him when everyone thought he was absolute toast.
John Brown. So wow, and the Browns he was 1102. So interesting. So 4 rounds later, and we drafted last year for that startup. So he's always honestly always been like underrated. No one's ever been a huge Baker guy, but I didn't even remember us talking about Baker to the Mike Evans connection type of thing. And over the summer, that Mike Evans was supposed to be.
Literally a match made in heaven. The guy just loves to chuck the rock, and Evans just loves to go up and moss people.
Yep, yep, yep. But good for him, seriously. And the whole way the Browns treated him was definitely very weird. Like it's not like Baker Mayfield was bad and they're just like, let's go get Deshaun Watson for X reason. Like you have to think they're regretting it. Like what like
I think, I
Watson,
think,
what has Watson done?
I hate to throw you under the bus, Jay, but like the Jets for a long time and the Jaguars, I was just like, what are these franchises doing? Like for like the longest time, we're talking 15, 20 years of my football just enjoyment. But I'll tell you this, in recent years, I'm noticing both the Panthers and the Browns are they just dig themselves into graves early, early, early.
I mean,
I mean, listen, Deshaun still has what, 3 years on his contract. It's like
I truly believe that he needs to figure it out this year. If he doesn't figure it out this year, I think they're gonna go a different way.
I think we're I mean, everyone's after Daniel Jones's throat. You know what I mean? And it's been 4 years. This guy, Deshaun, his leash is extremely short. I'm done. When everything happened, I was already done with him, but especially now, I'm done with him. I mean, he's gonna have to do some sort of 360 for me to
He,
even consider it. I think I would pick Baker Mayfield before Deshaun Watson.
oh, for sure.
Easy,
That's not even a question, like at all.
easy.
It's not even a question. But last year you would be saying the opposite, which is
I
that's
honestly, last year, I would have wiped my hands of both of them. I would have just said, "Give
uh,
me Jordan Love." You know what I mean? I would have been like, "Give me someone who might
for
have a chance."
doing Jordan Love that early would be kind of crazy. I don't know if I would have been about that route. I think
I would rather flip the coin on youth than see these older guys who just couldn't figure it out. Like I'll let someone else find the Geno Smith. I'll let someone else find the Baker Mayfield. Like I'd rather just shoot for youth forever. And if they got to sit on my bench for a little while to figure it out, that's fine. The only person who's burnt me in recent years is Kenny Pickett, and he didn't even really burn me because I got to sell him before whatever happened this year. So
that was a bad
yeah,
QB group overall, though. What was that? 2 years ago,
2 years ago, yeah, 2 years ago.
he was the first
I think I
QB
picked him up
drafted.
in your league. I think I picked him up at like 107 or like
Yeah,
106.
I got Saquon from you in that trade.
Yeah, it's all right. That's all right. I needed
Oh,
that rebuild, baby. And then I ended up getting some decent coin for Kenny when I ended up trading him away. So it is what it is. But on this list, Tannehill hasn't signed anywhere yet. Minshew, we don't really care about. Garoppolo, we don't really care about. But these next two names I do really care about. It's actually three names because we got to involve one with the other. Let's talk about Russell Wilson and Justin Fields ending up at the Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers franchise. Woof.
kind of
Like,
crazy, kind of crazy. Like, yes, is Justin Fields has 1 year left on his deal. I'm assuming they're going to decline his 5th year option. Uh,
definitely.
and Russell Wilson signed a 1 year deal. So it's like,
You know
I,
what? I could actually see them taking his fifth year option
I doubt it.
because
I feel like they're gonna,
the fact is they're only paying Russ 1 million. So essentially, if you pay Fields, the rookie, or not the rookie, the fifth year, what are we talking? Like
I think
17 million?
I think no, yeah, it is up there. I feel like it's even more in the 20ish range, I think. But still,
It's
that's a
between
lot.
17 and like 20
That's a
million.
lot. That's a
It,
lot of money for
it's a lot for one year, but obviously he's battling with Russell Wilson this year. So he either wins the battle, right? And then you're like, okay, I'm glad we did the fifth year option because then he's going to be cheaper than signing him to a 3, 4 year extension.
Mhm.
Or he loses the battle to Russell Wilson. You do pick up the fifth year option and you just say, hopefully he learns under Russ for a year. That's the way I see it.
The way I feel like I'm opposite though. It's like why commit to something that you're not committed to? Because while you're definitely correct, like oh, say Justin Fields does start, does good, all that jazz, and then they want to extend him, but that just it gives him off a clean slate. He is able to have that leverage. So I don't know. It's I don't even
I
know.
think it's in
I don't even know how
Fields.
this is even gonna go. Like right now,
Yeah, I think it's in Fields' favor.
you
I
think
think it's in Fields' favor if they don't do the fifth year option, because now with the way that the average quarterback is getting paid, it's like the second they don't have the rookie slab on their name, it's like the price just flies up.
Steelers with the
Flies up.
20th pick in the draft as well. So I mean they're definitely not getting a quarterback. I think they obviously committed themselves to not going quarterback this.
Oh, the Steelers? Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, yeah,
So, but
yeah. Yeah, absolutely not.
so it is first week of the NFL season. Who do you think is actually starting?
I mean, as of right now, Russell Wilson is the starter. Um, he's going to have to be just as putrid as he was in Denver in the preseason for them to make that switch. Again, they've only committed $1 million to him. So like they can literally do whatever the heck they want. They could treat him like absolute dog water and tell him every single day he's going to lose his job because honestly, like I'm not a mean person, but I would put as much gas on him as possible and see if the thing burns because he has nothing but to prove himself to everybody. Like the way he's been playing the last 2 years at Denver, eh, frankly, it's just not the classic Russell Wilson. It's just not him.
It is
And I mean, you look. I mean, it's just not.
kind of
It's not
wild
Russell Wilson.
looking at his like MVP, well, his almost MVP seasons, like in those higher 30s for touchdowns, and then
Wait, I'm crazy.
haven't
Did I
better
just
than
see he scored over 300 points last year? I mean, not that that's amazing for a
Russell
quarterback, but that is not what I expected at all.
Russell Wilson was a good fantasy quarterback, low key last year.
Well, he's a good secondary flex option. I'm just like, you look at his career and you got 370, 409, 417. Like, that's Russell Wilson, the dual threat, chucks the deep ball, scrambles for about 30, 40 yards a game. He's obviously not that anymore. He's just not that young. But the way I see it is you got two, you know, Russell Wilson was formerly a great athlete. Maybe some way, somehow Pittsburgh gets him back to that. But you got two relatively good athletes, better athletes than either one of us. So I shouldn't really be talking. But but the idea is like I push both of them to the brink and see who comes out on top. And you know, we can say we agree to disagree, but you know, I would put no stock in Wilson's future. I would put no stock in Fields' future after next year. I would do the 5th year option just to secure a young quarterback at a easier than market price, and see what happens in the next 2 years. And if Russell does good, do another 1 year deal unless he wants to move on. If he wants to move on, cool, you got your Fields. It is what it is.
I mean, he definitely knew Russell Wilson knew he definitely didn't have many options. Like he literally took that minimum deal because he's already getting paid from the Broncos. So he's like, why not?
Yeah. It's
He knows. I
Russell
think
doesn't care about the money because he already has the money.
exactly. He knows.
Russell wanted an
He knows his
opportunity to be a starter again, and that's what he's got. But
Mhm.
I don't know if they told him, "Hey, we're also going to do this Justin Fields thing." The
I mean,
Steelers just went.
they had Kenny Pickett, and like he knew that, but like obviously now Kenny Pickett's gone. But
Well, Kenny complained. Kenny complained. Kenny
oh,
said,
he had to.
"I can see that you guys aren't, invested in me. Could you trade me?" And they said, "Sure." You want to know why? Because 2 days later, we're going to give a 6th rounder for someone who's probably more of an athlete than you are. So it's wild. The Steelers went window shopping and got all the sales tags. Good for them. And I imagine that they're going to be creative with the cap space that they have. I haven't really seen specific Steelers moves, this year. But
No, me.
long story short, Kenny Pickett to Philly is just a hold. That's just really what that is. That's Kenny Pickett saying, "I still want to live in Pennsylvania. Put me in the preseason game so I can prove myself. And then next year he'll be somewhere else." And then Justin Fields, I think they give him his 5th year option. They hold him over for 2 years. They try to teach him up under Russell Wilson, and hopefully they get a franchise quarterback out of it. If not, they're always a
That's
500 team. They're never going to be able to draft a quarterback.
but I feel like Justin Fields is definitely going to get a lot more out of this because he's going to. The Steelers are a good organization. That is a
A
good
great
thing.
organization.
They
A
are
great organization.
they
Yeah.
are always making the playoffs. Like they're just a wellly ran. They're a good ran team. So like they made the playoffs last year. We literally made the playoffs last
Yeah.
year. Like it
It's
is.
amazing. Tom,
It,
what they do over there, Tomlinson, they do some amazing stuff, and I think he feels the hot seat. I think he feels Steelers Nation. We're
yeah,
500 all the time. We got to shake it up, and this is a shakeup. I
it
mean, this is
is.
absolutely a
It is.
shakeup,
It's
and
gonna be electric. Justin Fields was also not terrible last season. You know, they got they had he had they gave him some pieces a little bit and some DJ Moore action, and Justin
yeah,
Fields has always been a winner. You know, that is
yeah,
just that's all in his DNA. And I think even kind of just even looking at some statistics here, he obviously he was improving as a passer. You know, you look at his rushing, that's just who Justin Fields is. But
yeah,
he just needs some confidence in him. Coaches need to instill some confidence in him. Like right there. So 227 minus 370. What are we looking at there? That's over 60%. Like you want to
yeah,
continue, we want to continue that route. Improving your completion percentage because if you're completing passes, you're moving forward. So
yeah.
that is the goal here. He needs to gain some of that confidence. It's kind of crazy. Just,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm rooting.
obviously
I'm rooting for him. I own him, so
you
I'm
don't have any choice, right?
I'm rooting for him for sure.
Well, yeah. So, these guys, they change a lot of things. The Steelers made a lot of changes themselves too. Obviously, George Pickens is going to be their number one at the moment. I imagine that there's still going to be a good wide receiver on the board at 20, but the Pittsburgh Steelers have a lot of, I don't want to say gaps, but there's definitely like holes, like small holes all around the team. I could see them at 20 going for literally any position. I mean, they definitely could use linemen. They definitely
Sure.
can use a defensive interior. They can definitely use a linebacker, a cornerback, a safety. Um, Definitely, if a wide receiver falls to them, they'd be a great landing spot for any wide receivers, especially like a short, quick guy, because George Pickens is the contested catch fella. So if they can get some sort of speedster, someone who can get open over the middle or open for quick passes, that'd be great for their team. But
That's
we'll
Pat
talk about
Fryermuth.
the wide
Pat Fryermuth
receivers.
should definitely be more used in that offense now, though.
Oh yeah,
First,
Russell Wilson
his
always
first
loves his tight ends. Yeah.
his first season, Pat Fryermuth was doing good. He is what you
Yep.
picture as the middle of the field tight end. He can get yak yards as well. I
Yeah.
think he is going to be benefiting from this as well. So I
Yeah, I
would
think
say
that's a good
who else do
call.
the Steelers have? Like, I mean, their speedsters, Calvin
It's really
Austin.
just it's really
So I
just
mean,
George Pickens
Fryermuth.
and
But
Fryermuth. I mean,
I would say
I don't
Calvin
think
Austin
Najee
is
I
a
don't
little
think
bit of a
Najee benefits
sleeper
from
there.
this. Say that again?
Oh, Calvin Austin's a little bit of a sleeper there. That is who their
Sure.
speedster wide receiver is. I mean, I
Sure.
wouldn't really go anything too crazy with that, but he's there.
Well, they're notorious for drafting wide receivers in the second round. So between rounds one and round two, they're going to get another wide receiver. It's just, what name ends up there. And there's definitely some awesome names this year. So we'll see what they do in the first, second round. Another name from the Steelers that's no longer a Steeler, he's a Panther. We'll talk about him when we get to the wide receivers portion of free agency. But that'll be a really interesting thing to see what happens with Deontay Johnson.
I
Let's
like it.
move to the other curious name
Yeah.
because I think it has a
Any
huge.
of these names kind of are sticking out to you here? Like,
Say that
do
again. Oh yeah, Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett, you
I
like
think
it?
that's a
Let's
massive
hear more.
signing.
Let's hear more from you. You
Yeah,
have
no,
me
I
excited about this today.
the Patriots organization is Swiss cheese. I was making fun of the Steelers for like having a couple holes, around the entire team, but the Patriots are an absolute, ham sandwich. They are Swiss cheese all over the place, and I am of the top five picks. I think both the Patriots and the Chargers are most likely to trade down. And as a Giants fan, I want nothing more than the Patriots to trade with the Giants. Giants trade up for, in my best prayers, Drake May. I hope it goes Caleb, Jaden, Drake, and the Giants trade up to three to get Drake May. That would be an absolute dream in heaven for me. But the Patriots at three can do anything. And I think signing a veteran quarterback like Jacoby Brissett is not what some people think, which is okay, let's draft a young guy and he'll learn behind Jacoby. I don't think it's that at all. In fact, I think it's sign Jacoby, make sure that we have a functioning quarterback for 1 or 2 years to give us time to find a quarterback. And let's trade down, grab assets to prepare for that quarterback of the future. I see them trading down for multiple firsts, probably a 24 and a 25, maybe with a second or a third involved, and them just shoring up their offensive line, their defensive line, and going from the trenches like the traditional Patriot way. Like
I
the
think that
Patriots
makes
have
sense.
always been.
They need to do
Go
that.
ahead.
I think that makes sense, and they need to do that. Like
Yeah.
they,
So like I think Jacoby Brissett's such a big signing because for me, the signal I'm seeing, we're trading down. That's the signal I
that,
see. There's a
that's the
world where
hope.
they go ahead.
That's the hope. That's what the hope is. But
Yes.
you don't know. I would say a team that moved forward yesterday into trading up was the Vikings. Now they have Sam Darnold as their quarterback. I don't think they're going to be fully in on Sam Darnold like that. I think the Vikings are going to trade up. That is my that
There's no
that
doubt that
that is my team for the moving up.
yeah, there's no doubt. I think you look at the teams in the top 15, you got New Orleans. but they never really make big moves. They love kind of just being where they are and taking best available. You got Denver, you got Minnesota. You no longer
The
have
Raiders,
Atlanta.
the Raiders are definitely a spicy team there. Like the
Yeah, I don't.
Vikings at 11, Broncos at 12, and Raiders at 13 is going to be very interesting. Like,
Now, here's the question. I mean, you saw what the Vikings did,
yeah, they traded
trading
for
draft picks.
exactly. So they are getting
So
ready to
they're
trade that draft
gaining
pick.
draft picks
Yep.
to probably jump the Giants for. So this is how I see it. I see the Giants and the Vikings battling over that number 3 spot, especially if Drake May is the one to fall. I think if Jaden Daniels is the one to fall, the Giants will just sit. But if Drake May is the one to fall to 3, I think the Giants and the Vikings will be fighting over that position, and whoever loses that battle will settle with McCarthy. Like I could honestly see the Patriots trading back twice. I could see the Patriots trading back with the Giants to secure Drake May, and then I can see the Patriots trading back with the Vikings so the Vikings can grab McCarthy.
And the Vikings is like that's a good team that you kind of want a quarterback to go to. You know, Justin Jefferson,
Absolutely.
Addison. I know Hawk is going to be out for a little bit, but like when he comes back, that's another.
As a fantasy fan, if Jaden Daniels or Drake May ends up in I'm sorry, in Minnesota, I am ecstatic. They are skyrocketing up my board. But as a Giants fan, if the Vikings jump us to take Drake May away, I'm gonna cry.
It it is going to
Man tears.
it's going to be interesting. There's definitely been a lot of hype for JJ McCarthy kind of happening as well, honestly, as we get closer and closer to the draft. So it's going to be interesting. That's not someone who I really thought was going to be like first round, like top 10 type of material, but the buzz is out of control right now for JJ
There's
McCarthy.
one of there's one of two things happening. I do think JJ is a good prospect, but I think he's a developmental prospect. So I don't think he should be someone's team who needs them right now. So the Giants, it would not be a great sorry, the Giants, it would be a better fit because there are two capable quarterbacks on the Giants right now. If JJ goes to the Vikings, that's a little scary because they're going to throw him into the fire right away. And I don't think he's ready for that. But anybody who ends up on the Vikings has a very bright future.
Oh
I
yeah.
think I think JJ is a real pick for a lot of teams because they currently have quarterback and he will be a great developmental piece behind them. So I do see McCarthy going in the top 10, but also McCarthy could be this year's smokescreen.
Yeah.
McCarthy
But
could be this year's banana rama.
it's going to be
You know what
banana
I'm talking about?
Bananarama. That is shout out to the fantasy footballers. Um, uh, but I know we started off at Jacoby Brissett of all this, but I feel like we got a little bit off track. But I do agree with you with the Jacoby Brissett take here. Like, I think this is what the Patriots should be doing. I don't think they should
Yeah.
really be going all in. Like, let's go get our quarterback for the future. I think they need to chill out and they need to build the team up, and then they go get a quarterback next year. Because let's be honest, the Patriots are going to be in this range next year. Like,
Yeah.
there's no doubt about it.
They need 2 or 3 years
They really do. This which is
of
not
top picks.
which is kind of crazy. You know, we don't know the Patriots like this, and the
That's what happens when the GOAT leaves your team. That's just what
Patriots
happened. And
are
they
going
should
to
have done it
be
sooner. I
yeah.
love Bill. I love Bill, but Bill should have bit the bullet and he should have said, "All right, it's just not the same team. I can't just muscle my way with defense anymore."
Well, they
And
tried. They tried. They got Mac Jones in 2021 at the 15th pick. Like that's a pretty solid for.
there's a lot of rumors on the road that he did not want to draft quarterback and that the
Mm,
organization basically made him do it.
mm. I mean,
And because he does not like Mac Jones. I mean, I'm sure he could just hang out with him at the bar as a dude, but like as a player, that he sat Mac Jones 4 different times in 2 years. Like
it was
just flat
it was
out,
super weird.
you're
It was
benched,
super weird.
boy.
Obviously, I'm
Go
in like
go to
Boston
timeout.
territory, so like a lot of my friends here, they obviously are Patriots fans because that's where I'm from right here. Well, that's not where I'm from, but this is where I currently live. But it's all the time, dude. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like I'm surrounded by all the Patriots games. Like it's super weird that they would just bench Mac, put Zappy in, and then guess what? Next week, Mac Jones is the starter again. Like I don't know, a lot of weird stuff happening over there. Like that's obviously it's all done now. What team?
Nuts.
What team did Mac Jones go to?
He's the backup for Mr. Trevor Lawrence over in Jacksonville.
Yes, he went to the
But
Jags.
that's the same move. That's the same move as Kenny Pickett.
That's
That's
weird.
put me in,
Yeah.
put me in preseason, give me an opportunity to show my skills. That's exactly what that is.
All right. Let's move on to something else here. Let's what are some
Well,
other
we're
weird
gonna
weird
roll
names?
we're gonna roll through QBs because the rest of the names are pretty
Yeah.
garbage. But
I would say Gardner Minshew is definitely like interesting, you know. So it's gonna be him or AOC. Like I guess so. Like
AOC,
Aiden O'Connell.
we're talking about government officials now.
Yes, absolutely. But
Jeez.
it really has got to be like I don't know, unless they draft a quarterback. I mean, people that are
I
still
mean,
in
listen,
people that
can
people that are playing
someone
later on
pick
in
up
the go ahead.
yeah, can someone pick up Gardner Minshew and like use him in their flex, for desperation? Sure. But he's never gotten it done. I don't know. Gardner Minshew wasn't a big deal for me. I mean, if you ended up having the rookie, that's a bummer because you would hope that the franchise would just use him. But O'Connell, for O'Connell, it's a bummer. I think O'Connell's the starter until he loses the job, and Gardner Minshew will just be Jacoby Brissett, basically. Like, hey,
Aiden O'Connell lost a job a little bit last season. He who
to who?
I kind of forget, or did he not?
I think that they moved to O'Connell after Garoppolo got benched, and they just said we're gonna just stick with this guy. This is what it is.
Yeah, you're right. I'm bugging. I thought someone really took over for him because he
Listen,
was playing well.
he was okay, but you could tell that he was a rookie. You know,
Yes.
he was picked in what, the third round or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it was the second round. But long
Mm.
story short, he'll get an opportunity to keep the job. And if spring training doesn't go well, if preseason doesn't go well, then it's Gardner Minshew, and then the franchise doesn't have to get embarrassed. But like, I don't know. Are there any other names you want to talk about with QBs? Because when I scrolled through, I wasn't really. There's a
No,
couple names we
that's
could if we really
that's
wanted to,
that's
but I
really
don't think.
it. That is really it. I mean, you as a Giants fan, Drew Lock versus Daniel Jones, or if
They're
they don't
gonna they're gonna
the
move up.
quarterback, you know.
The
So
reason the reason that they made that pick, and this is regardless, this is opposite of fantasy football that we're talking about right now. This is just the NFL. The reason that they made that move is in case they couldn't trade up for the guy they wanted. If they don't get Drake May or Jaden Daniels, and I pray that it's not Jaden Daniels, I pray that it's Drake May, then they can have a two quarterback competition between those two, and they will wait for their franchise quarterback in the future. But the only reason they signed it, like the way I see it is, if they trade up for a rookie, which I hope they do, then Drew Lock will be dropped. They'll drop him and they'll just eat the dead cap, and then they'll keep, the goober from the practice squad, and Gabagool and
yeah,
Daniel
is he
Jones.
still around? Is he like on the team?
He's
Is that
on the practice squad.
interesting? Um,
Yeah,
that's
Mister
really
Mister
that's really all.
Cutlets.
That's all. I'm good. I'm good to go with quarterbacks. Nothing else really there.
Yeah, so I know y'all are gonna roll your eyes here. We just did a bunch of chalking about the quarterbacks, and we talked about how it affects different things here and there. There's a lot of running backs we got to talk about, so we'll
There's so
be as
many.
brief as possible. But man, there is a lot of running back stuff going on, and it changes a lot of things. For some people, it's just a change of scenery. For other people, it changes, oh my gosh, you go from 10 carries a game to 20 carries a game, like you become the actual bull. You're carrying all of it. So when you look here at the top, breaks my heart, but I understand it. Saquon lived in Jersey, went to school in Pennsylvania, lives in Pennsylvania, lives close enough to Giant Stadium, close enough to the Philadelphia. Like, this is, and for him and his family, this is the absolute best thing that probably could have happened. Of course, he's going to get the hate mail. Of course, he's going to get the death threats because both Philly fans and Giants fans are all freaking lunatics. But here's the truth: the dude got a great deal. He got the money he was looking for. For the Giants, you never want to see an athlete like that move on. But we just weren't for
You're not
him.
there. You're not there.
We weren't for him. We weren't there for the record to make the playoffs and all those fun things, and we weren't there financially because we can't be giving running backs that kind of money when we
When
barely can block for them.
Yep.
So
And
good
like
luck. I
you just
hope you
don't need
don't
them.
win a Super Bowl, Saquon, but good luck.
They,
Uh, and
there,
whatever, do your thing, bro.
there's zero reason why the Giants should have re-signed Saquon Barkley. Like that would have been
Yeah.
a poor
The only
franchise.
way that they would have signed Saquon Barkley is if he was equal or below the franchise tag, and it sounded like the Giants wanted him to be below the franchise tag,
Yeah,
which obviously
he
didn't
got his
happen.
13 mil. He got his 13 mil over. Boom. See you later. But it is
Yeah,
so
good for him.
it's crazy. Last year, none of this was happening. There was zero running back movement last year, and
Zero.
that also did impact fantasy football. There was a lot of wide receivers that were drafted, even in redraft and dynasty. That there's running backs were losing their voice a little bit. All the running backs had like those that players meeting when they're just like talking about like, oh, we need to increase our worth, but I don't think they need to do anything. I think they just needed to wait a season because look what happened. It's like the
Well, if you really
running
look at
backs are
it,
back.
the market is still so small. I mean, if you look at CMC's deal, and we're talking about a deal that happened 3 years ago, 4 years ago, he's still the highest paid running back, from that original deal.
Oh,
So like So something is still very broken in the running back market, but it's just the nature of the game. There's so many teams now running three wide receiver sets, and it's about moving the ball in the air, not moving the ball on the ground. And the NFL is adapting, and unfortunately, like it was for fullbacks in the late '90s, early 2000s. Now running backs, it's kind of starting to catch up, and it's unfortunate because they're some of the best athletes in the world. So give me your, 60-second or less. Give me your 30-second. What does this mean for Saquon?
Saquon, Saquon top, definitely top five. Like
Saquon to the moon.
who do I want over Saquon? Like Brees Hall, Bijan, I guess Gibbs.
CMC.
Oh, CMC for sure. Maybe Gibbs, but I feel like I would do that. I would do like a Saquon versus type of Gibbs area there because Saquon's easily going to be in that 1,200, 1,300, maybe even 1,500 yards type of thing. If you want to combine the receiving yards, like he
Oh,
is
total yards.
he
Yeah.
is he's going to smash. The only thing though is I think this does I think this is going to hurt Jalen Hurts a little bit. I think they're going to take away the tush push a little bit. He was obviously banged up last season, and they don't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
Saquon is a Saquon's a big dude. They are going
Yeah.
to put him at that 1 yard line, and they're going to give him some of those touchdowns. Obviously, the tush push is never going to go away, but I think they are going to lean back a little bit on that as they have like a big body running back. They had
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift last year, but DeAndre Swift got like very, very few rushing touchdowns last year. But he always
He's a
got them.
little guy.
Yes,
He's
and
a little guy.
he's definitely smaller for sure. So
Yeah.
I think this is Saquon is a great buy if any team doesn't really want him, especially if they're not really looking to win. Honestly, like my team in Sunday Funday, like I'm not selling him for cheap, but I think he is going to be a good acquisition for anybody that is looking to take that next step. I mean, I'm
And
holding
we,
on to him for now, but we'll see. You know,
yeah, we,
he
we always are really harsh about running back age because they break down so easily. There's something about certain running backs in the last 10 years of football that they're just breaking the mold on how old until you give up on a running back. 27 is not an old age, all right? I've got 4 years on Saquon, which is the craziest thing to think about. But but he's been healthy the last 2 years. There's no reason to think that he's going to be unhealthy. Um, the way I see it is if the line in Philadelphia is as good as it was last year, Saquon will be a top four running back.
he has
But
to.
losing Kelsey changes things. I don't care what anyone says about their two Pro Bowl, bookends at tackle. Um, that interior changes a lot, and anytime one of the five things is changed, when it comes to an offensive line, it changes everything. So if they can come together with a new center and maybe move some pieces around, and they can be, even 80% as efficient as they were as an offensive line last year, then Saquon, like I said, will be a top four running back. If for some reason, that offensive line implodes, well, then Saquon just found himself in another New York Giants situation. So
That,
no ill will to Saquon. I just don't want to see him juking out my defenders two times next year. It's devastating.
it's
It's so
gonna
sad.
happen. It is
He
gonna happen.
embarrasses people. He really embarrasses people, and I'm not excited to see it against
Don't forget, Saquon
the Giants.
was what was he, the third overall pick when he was
Yeah.
the year he was drafted. So like he is one of the
But that was also Dave Gettleman. He's an idiot.
but still, like drafting a running back that early, like he's legit. Like if you're a running back that typically gets drafted that early, it's typically not a bust. Like you're usually well, obviously he did not bust because Saquon's been in the league now for what, 5, 6 seasons maybe.
He's a
So
freak. He's a
he
freak.
he is he's still I'm about Saquon. I think he
Yeah.
is the best running back that made a deal. And out of all the other running backs that we're about to talk about, I think he is number one out of everybody still.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next one. And again, we'll try to keep it to like this 30-second what can happen thing. Derrick Henry, I'll go first. The nuts landing spot for Derrick Henry. I think the stat was Gus Edwards had 13 touchdowns last year, like the
Mhm.
quietest 13 touchdowns in all of existence. So I honestly want
Derrick
to put
Henry, he might get 20. He might
no, I
lose the
honestly want
20
to put
touchdown.
a bet. I want to put a bet. I don't know what it is at 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I don't know what those numbers are, but whatever the prettiest number is, whatever the prettiest odds is, I want to put a $50 bet on Derrick Henry over 16 touchdowns, over 17 touchdowns. So is Derrick Henry going to be as efficient as he's been in his entire career? No, he's not. But I guarantee that the Ravens will be able to get within the 5 yard line. And when the Ravens get within the 5 yard line, Derrick Henry will simply walk into the end zone because he is a massive human being.
And they have Lamar Jackson. So a little
Yeah.
quick option, boom, see you later. Like it is
Yep.
it's a recipe for success. So
It's a recipe for disaster for that division. I'll tell you that.
it is I'm all about the touchdowns. I think he is going to excel in the touchdown department. It's gonna happen. There's no way it's not gonna happen. But
I
as you're
honestly would also make a bet of like, 6 or more games with 2 touchdowns.
Oh, if that's even a thing that you can do, yeah. I mean,
Guaranteed.
how many multi touchdowns did you have this year? One, two, three. If you no reception, so yeah, three last year, and that's on the Titans. Who, I mean,
Who
are
struggled on offense.
are
They
the
struggled
Titans
on
are the
offense
Titans good?
significantly.
Yep. So we did three the year before that as well. So it should be something that does
Like
happen.
CMC, what did CMC do? Like 6 games in a row, double digit touchdowns. Like week one, I'm betting CMC 2 touchdowns, parlaying that with Derrick Henry 2 touchdowns, and we're gonna hit a big one.
You should do that every week until it hits.
I'm gonna do it every week, and it's gonna hit continuously like it did for CMC this past year. All right, next name. Ready? Josh Jacobs. You go.
Josh Jacobs. So I feel like no one's really talking about this at all, but
Oh, I love
I,
it.
I love I also love it. I feel like so I had someone tell me that was such a weird move by them. Like, why did they just keep Aaron Jones? Josh Jacobs is still like, how old is he? 26. Aaron Jones, I think, is about to turn 30. So you're turning back the clock a little bit here. Josh Jacobs going to the Packers, the way Aaron Jones excelled, Josh Jacobs is going to replicate that and for the years to come. Packers are an upcoming offense. Jordan Love,
Yeah.
uh, Wicks, Watson, Jalen Reed. Now they have two tight ends that are kind of no one really knows who's going to start there with Musgrave and Kraft. So this offense is excelling in the direction that you want to. And when
Yeah.
an offense is good and they have that workhorse running back, because he is going to be that workhorse running back. They brought back not Aaron Dillon, AJ Dillon, but what has AJ Dillon done in the past to really impact Aaron Jones's touches or
He's shot.
fantasy
Yeah, he's
impact?
shot.
He has barely done nothing. So
He's a
this is
bust.
this
He's
is
a
a
bust.
great move. If anybody does not believe in Josh Jacobs in any of your leagues, this is definitely a good time to kind of go sneak in there, try to get a price check, figure out what's going on in that mine. But I like this move. Definitely very, very underrated. I think a lot of the whole Saquon and Derrick Henry kind of buzz definitely overtook this Josh Jacobs thing, but solid deal. Good for them. And 4 years, 48 million. So Josh Jacobs
Yeah, I
on this
you
Packers
know
team should be good for years to come.
Yeah, Josh took a deal that's very incentive based. Like there's a lot of incentives to get to that 48 million. I think it was only like 12 guaranteed. I think it was like a really low number. It was very strange. But it was very incentives laden and they just made the playoffs, so I imagine he's gonna hit a good amount of those incentives. Uh just like you said, they turned back the clock. I don't think he's as good of a pass catcher as Aaron Jones, but he's a good enough pass catcher where you turn back the clock 3.5, almost 4 years, and you got a guy for 4 years on an offense that's great. So I think you nailed it. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think Josh Jacobs is going to benefit from this greatly, and I think that his passing, reception career, I think he's going to get the most PPR points that he's probably ever gotten. I don't know. I think he's still going to be a bruising running back. I think they're going to obviously use him between the tackles, but I think this year I wouldn't be surprised if this is like his highest year ever, either this year or next year, because I think they're going to exploit his pass catching ability, which the Raiders didn't do as much as most Josh Jacobs owners thought.
He did.
Next name
Yep.
on the board is Aaron Jones. So the opposite of this trade. Did you see that interview? Did you see the interview with the Vikings?
No.
He straight up is just angry and he's just like, I don't even know who's on this roster. So he just like went to the Vikings as like a pure payback move to Green Bay for doing that. They just dropped him. They dropped him like you know wet
Well,
paper, man.
that
They
was
just
that was the
flopped him
problem.
on the ground.
They couldn't come up to a deal that worked for both parties. Obviously, Aaron Jones probably wanted to get paid more. I mean, that's always it. And then the Packers was like, nope, we're good. And then immediately signed Josh Jacobs. So things were already
Yes.
happening there. So,
Yeah,
and
well, they signed Josh and then they dropped Aaron Jones within like a 6 hour
yeah,
period.
literally, they knew
Yeah.
exactly what
And
they.
then within a 24-hour period, he was a Viking. I wouldn't be surprised if he called the Vikings. I wouldn't be surprised if he said Vikings, Chicago. Who's that last team in that division?
Lions.
The Lions. I
Lions.
mean, he wouldn't have called the Lions because they're freaking
Yes.
set with Gibbs. I imagine he called Chicago and the Vikings and was just like, just give me a number. Just give me a number. All I want to do is run my butt off against Green Bay. Now, as someone, not your league, not my league, but another league who owns both Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones, I went from absolutely crapping my pants to absolute excitement again within this 6 hour, 24-hour window that both of these things happened. I saw Josh get signed. I saw the breaking news. I was like, booyah, Green Bay. No, I just lost Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is toast. And then again, within a 24-hour window, the Vikings, Aaron Jones, I'm like, booyah. All right, because all they used to do and all they've currently been doing in the Vikings is drop off passes, right? Dalvin Cook,
Yep. That's definitely been their
Madison.
brand. And
They
Matt,
love to just fake block, turn around, get the little dump off, and that is Aaron Jones's bread and butter. So good for Aaron Jones. Good for Josh Jacob. What do you think about Austin Eckler to Washington?
Austin Eckler. A little bit. I kind of want to do a little bit more Viking though. Not really, and more maybe like 15 seconds. But Ty Chandler, definitely someone to look out for as well. That is their backup running back. I definitely
Yeah,
don't hate that idea. So see what's kind
a
of happening.
good bench stash. You know what? Good
It,
point. It's a
it
good
is.
bench
It is.
stash
It
because
is
Aaron
great.
Jones doesn't normally
I
last the
think
whole
it's a great
season.
bench stash. I think that is something that is
Yeah.
overlooked a little bit here.
Well,
I
Aaron Jones
spent too
normally
much
doesn't
time on
last an
this stuff
entire season. He normally doesn't make it all 18 games. So Ty Chandler is going to be irrelevant at some point.
for sure. But Austin Eckler, like you said, I think this is good for Austin Eckler football wise, fantasy wise. His production is definitely going to fall off a little bit. I think Austin Eckler, he's obviously not going to be the workhorse anymore. He's going to be blended into this offense, and I think it's going to make the Commanders a better football team. I just don't see Austin Eckler ever replicating his like dominant RB1 type of games anymore. Brian Robinson is no slouch. He
Yeah.
is a good hard runner. Obviously you think of Brian Robinson more between the tackles, but the guy also has some speed to him as well. So the thing that Austin Eckler is basically going to overtake what Antonio Gibson did before, but Antonio Gibson didn't really excel in that whole pass catching type of role. So I think this is where they're really going to insert him. It's going to be interesting to see how many touches he actually takes away from Brian Robinson and like that first and second down. Something to look into, honestly, would be seeing their pass protection differences. So is this something Austin Eckler excels at more than Brian Robinson? I'm going to be assuming yes. Austin Eckler has never been a bad pass protector. He's a veteran. That's just something that he continued to build on with age. So I could see how maybe that is also going to impact things, but I think this helps the Commanders more in a football sense than fantasy sense. I don't know if I'm going after Austin Eckler in any fantasy leagues.
If
I would
yeah,
be
if
happy if I'd be sad if he was my RB1. I like if he's going thrown in the flex, sure, but if I could sell Austin Eckler, I would sell him for whatever
yeah.
you can now, honestly.
Yeah. If you're an Austin Eckler owner, I think any team where he's the running back one, you're just praying that that would happen. So you got that in the Commanders.
You think he's gonna
If
stay back one and on the Commanders?
Well, he's going to be, how about this? He's going to be the running back that produces the most fantasy points on the Commanders.
Hmm, interesting. I don't know if I even agree with that statement.
I mean, it's a
I don't know.
PPR league. He's the one who's going to be catching the ball out of the backfield. And if he catches the ball, so if it's a pass, in the 15-yard line, Eckler's going to end up with a touchdown. If they end up on the 3-yard line or in, then Robinson might, bully the ball in there. But Brian
Brian
Robinson is
Robinson,
is
199 last season. Let's see what
yeah,
Austin.
he's not anything special. He's the complimentary back. Like Eckler will be your passing down back. He'll be the guy who gets the ball between the 20s and in my opinion the 15s. And Brian Robinson's just that guy on fourth and short, third and short, goal line and short. So it's like I, Eckler will be the guy who scores more fantasy points on this football team. With that being said, if Jaden Daniels ends up on the Washington Commanders football team, Eckler is buried. Neither running back will be of value on the Commanders. Yeah, maybe you'll get, like last year, about 180 points. Jaden Daniels, if drafted by whatever team, will be utilized like RG3 and like Lamar Jackson. He will be the focal point of the offense. He will be the running quarterback. Drake May can run. Caleb Williams can run. They're both very good prospects because they probably will be like Patrick Mahomes and get like 400, 500, 600 yards a year just from scrambling and running and being natural athletes. But if any team drafts Jaden Daniels, it is because they want him to run for 1,000 yards or more in the NFL, like an RG3, like a Lamar Jackson. And if that happens, any running back on teams that draft Jaden Daniels are going to suffer. So the draft is going to tell us a lot. I don't know if Austin. I don't know if Austin Eckler hints at which guy they're going to go for. Like, do you draft a pass catcher like that because you're going to go Drake May and you want a true pocket passer to dump it off? Or do you draft an Austin Eckler just because he was cheap on the free agency market and he's better than what you currently have? I don't know. I really don't know. A lot of rumors out there is that Jaden Daniels is going to be going 2 overall to the Commanders. There's also a lot of rumors out there that the Commanders might pay a buttload to switch with the Bears, and the Bears are like, okay, we'll do it because Jaden Daniels is a decent quarterback as well. So I don't know. Number one and number two and number three are going to be just such an interesting place to watch this year. Do you have anything else to say about Eckler? Because we got at least 3 or 4 more names that we got to hit
No, I'm
on
good to
running
go.
backs.
I'm
All
interested to
right, so
hear your
DeAndre
perspective.
Swift.
I want to hear your perspective. I'm very not. I think of this as not an objective lens because I own him, but I want to hear your thoughts because honestly, we have not talked about DeAndre Swift. So let's hear it from you. I
I've never
start.
liked I've never liked DeAndre Swift. if the Bears stick and pick, which is what everyone is predicting, then he will be relevant because Caleb Williams should be able to elevate the entire team. Running backs, normally with a rookie quarterback, there's one of two positions that benefit. It is either the dump off pass catcher running back, which Swift is, or it's the tight end. Now, if you're an ascending rookie quarterback and you break the mold, because not most rookie quarterbacks can do this. If you're an Andrew Luck, or if you're a CJ Stroud, or if you're a Joe Burrow, then yeah, you can support wide receiver one, and good for you. But most of the time, a rookie quarterback is not really supporting a wide receiver one. They're going to their check downs, which is normally a scat back, running back like DeAndre Swift, or they're going to their tight end who kind of fakes like he's blocking and then gets a really easy open route because everyone's following the play. So both Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift should see decent usage, but you just for me it's a net negative for Swift because you can't bet on quarterbacks no matter how good the talent appears to be. You
It's
just got
gonna
to wait
be
until it happens.
it's gonna be interesting to see how Khalil Herbert and Roshan Johnson also are still
Roshan,
intertwined into all this.
in my opinion, Khalil is dust and Roshan is the thumper.
It I don't know. I don't know how I feel about. I mean, I definitely do like the move. DeAndre Swift had his first season where he actually was not hurt for like the first time ever. And even like if you look at what we're looking at right here,
It's a
220
little,
attempts,
yeah.
1,000 yards, like that is what you wanted to see out of DeAndre Swift. So I hope he earned his,
I
I
mean, listen,
kind of earned it a little bit.
being 215 pounds, you got some muscle on you. You got a little bit of durability, but it's all in his legs. Like 5'9" is just such a small dude. I mean, Josh Jacobs is 5'10", but he's like 226. So it's like, I don't know. I never have been a Swift believer. There's been moments where I was gonna swallow my pride and be like, all right, the kid's got it. But he's just been injury prone. So, if you're an owner, I don't I don't think this is beneficial for his career, but if he ends up with a revolutionary rookie quarterback like a CJ Stroud or a Joe Burrow or a Andrew Luck, then yeah, he's gonna have a good season. But each year someone says this guy's gonna break the mold, and he doesn't. Like Trevor Lawrence was supposed to break the mold and he didn't. He still hasn't. So Caleb Williams has been talked up a lot. Um, if he is what everyone's saying, then Swift will be just fine.
I think he is going to be just fine, essentially. Like he is,
Yeah.
what do you get? 20, he's going to be in the top 24. I wouldn't doubt it. And honestly, even just like looking at the trade that happened in the Sunday Funday League, like I kind of crazy. DeAndre Swift and a third for Najee, a first and a second. I definitely lean the whole Najee Harris side still because
Well,
I
yeah,
think,
because the 24 first. The
yeah,
24 first is the biggest asset in the deal, and I would take that definitely.
for sure. I would agree with that. All right.
What does that turn into though? Is that like the 5, 6, 7? What is that?
So well, I'll already tell you right now.
Because I have the 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah. We all know. Everybody knows. It turned into the 107, so not terrible.
107 is a great spot.
That's good
Someone of value is going to drop to you at the 107. That's a great spot.
for sure. For sure. I'm about it.
Who
Um,
owns DeAndre Swift?
uh, Fountain of Youth. They came in at like third, fourth place last season. Well, they
Is that
came
is
in.
that Mac? Is that Corey Mac?
Yes, Corey Matthews. It's
we already talked trade. He doesn't want nothing to do with it.
wow, that's interesting. But yeah, I think you kind of nailed it. That's DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, how about J.K. Dobbins not getting signed is crazy. I think he's gonna get signed somewhere. I would on the cheap, I would, risk it for him.
Yeah.
Clyde
What do
Edwards-Helaire
you want? I'll
is
just
gonna
send me a
say that
third.
again.
Send me a third, and he's all yours.
Oh, I'll do that in a heartbeat.
All right, send it.
All right. We'll chat.
All right, send.
We will chat.
I don't even need to chat about it. Just send it, and you're good.
All right, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is toast.
Yes,
Gus
not even a
Edwards.
chance.
Gus Edwards is a big deal. Um, a 2 year, 6.5 million deal is chump change, but I will take the gamble. The only issue is Corum,
Yes.
Blake
Wow.
Corum.
Are you in my mind? I feel like that's literally what's going to happen, though.
That's totally what's going to happen.
I think it is.
He will be picked in the second round with the fifth overall pick in the second round. That is exactly what's going to happen. Unless if someone snipes him, at the end of the first, but that makes no sense. I think Blake Corum will be the first running back off the board because Harbaugh wants his guy. But I'm not going to draft Blake Corum like the first running back. That's not, I'm not a Blake Corum believer. Sorry.
I think Blake Corum can be successful in the NFL, but exactly who we are talking about in this good Gus Edwards type of role, and he's gonna be with Harbaugh. Like Blake Corum was successful with Harbaugh, so I think this
I
is
think
gonna
Blake
be
Corum's best,
replicated. This
yeah,
is
I think Blake Corum's best case scenario is Austin Eckler 2.0. But I don't think he's Austin Eckler, and I don't think he's ever going to be Austin
I
Eckler.
don't
So
think he's
that's
Austin Eckler. Yeah, I don't. He is.
he's a scat back pass guy, right? Or am I wrong?
He does a little bit. He is not the pass guy. He is a true runner.
Really?
Their pass guy was Edwards
Hmm.
from Michigan. He is not. Let's look up the stats. Blake.
Well, here's the thing. I have been out on Quorum for a long time, so I don't even like tell the people what you think because I saw his size and I said I'm never gonna draft that running back, so I don't care.
Blake Corum size.
Yeah.
That's what your issue is.
Yes.
I think Blake Corum is going to be what your traditional running back is supposed to be used like. Obviously, now what we kind of see in the NFL is that you want a little bit of blend of receptions, but that's just not who Blake Corum is. He is a runner to the fullest. And you're saying he's small, so I got him. He's right here at 5'8", 213. As long as he's over that 210 mark, that's seriously something
Dude,
like I look for. I've been just doing this dynasty
five
thing for a little bit
eight.
here. As long as you're over 210, that's kind of like where I want to see my running backs be over that amount. 5'8" is a little short. That's a little bit dangerous, but as long as he has the weight to him, I will be okay. But he
I'm in the book that unless you've proved it to me that you're a pass catching running back, you have to be at least 220 pounds. If you're
oh,
not at least 220 pounds, you have to be an absolute elite pass catcher. That's it. That's the only way I'm in on you. And you just told me Blake Corum's not a pass catcher,
he's
so I'm
not.
definitely out on
He is
Blake
not.
Corum.
He definitely does not
I'm
catch the ball.
I'm way out. I'm way out.
I am in on Blake Corum if he is a LA Charger.
Other than that, you're out. Anywhere else, you're out.
It really depends on where else that he goes. I don't know. It would be if he went to the no, that wouldn't really make sense. I was gonna say if he went to the Titans, I would be a little bit more in, but they have Tajay and Pollard.
Yeah. Go Pollard quick.
Pollard quick. I really don't know how I feel about the whole Pollard thing. I'm not like over the moon about excitement of this. I'm also not like, okay, this stinks. I don't know. How do I feel about Tony Pollard? I hope they reduce his workload, and I really do hope this is a split backfield with Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard because it was proven last season that Tony Pollard cannot be the running back of a backfield. He can't not be. He needs a 1A and a 1B type of situation here,
He
and
has a lot
that's
of
how he's going to
excuses.
be more affected. But I don't know if I could sell like what I did in your league, Tony Pollard for Anthony Richardson early in the season, like that's a steal and a half right there. Like
Yeah, who'd you do that
he
to?
to my brother. Shout out to Mike.
Yeah.
Um, uh, but
Mike, you got to
I,
stop
I
doing deals with this guy.
I am not going.
He's out to ruin
I'm
you.
literally not doing anything. I'm making deals that
That was
benefit.
really convincing.
I'm
I'm not
not.
doing anything.
I'm not doing anything. But I would put Tony Pollard more in like the 20 to 30-ish range of where he's going to end up this season, like RB 20, RB 30. Like I I don't know. I that's
I
kind
hate
of
him.
that
I
is
hate
what
him.
I
I
have.
hate him. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him.
It's nothing special.
So, so ready. His whole story and the NFL story is that he was injured all year last year. He wasn't really who he was, and
He
he's going
was
to come back with a vengeance.
he
That's what
was
they're saying. Listen, that's what they're saying. That's the excuse.
he
Whatever.
was injured
Cry,
because he
cry
got
about it.
too much. He got too much work. That is
Yeah.
not who Tony Pollard is. You
So
can't be feeding
I
him. You
think
can't be feeding
Tony
him like that.
Pollard. I think Tony Pollard just got way overpaid, and I think he's going to live his best life. Good for him. I want no part of it. I'm furious with him because I had Tajay Spears in multiple leagues, and that just screwed me. But maybe he sucks
So
so
go
bad that
go buy
Tajay
him.
takes the.
You
Maybe
should go buy
Tajay
Tajay
Spears.
Spears everywhere. If you're a Tajay Spears
Yeah.
believer, you should go get him everywhere now. Because guess
I mean,
what?
I
He
have
is
him in
now.
two out of my three leagues.
All right. Well, what are you doing in the third one? Go get him.
I
Seriously,
I'm trying.
he is at his cheapest that he will be moving forward. So
Yeah.
that's where I kind of stand with that. But surprisingly,
Yeah.
I'm sure you know what keep trade cut is. Tony Pollard is currently the running back 23, and Tajay Spears is the running back 19. So that's super interesting. Uh,
I think that's just statistics not catching up.
yes, I mean this is
It's
also
gonna in a couple weeks. I bet that flips.
keep trade cut is all about the hype game here. That's
Yeah.
all it is. So very interesting.
So I only got two more names here that I think are relevant. One less relevant than the other. Let's do the less first. Zach Moss signs with the Bengals. Breaks my heart because again, I have Chase Brown, who looked like he was turning it on a little bit last year when given the opportunity. So if Zach Moss comes to town and ruins my boy's dream, I'm gonna be pissed.
I
It's a
think
2 year deal, so it's his backfield. It's a 2 year deal, so it's probably his backfield. Zach Moss did such a good job in Indianapolis last year. He did deserve to become a starting running back somewhere. I just stop messing with my team. Stop messing with my people.
I agree.
Uh,
Zach Moss kind of went a little crazy last season. Like look at his
yeah,
beginning statistics when he was actually given the ball.
yeah,
Really did well for
he,
Justin for oh my God, for Jonathan Taylor when he was
yeah.
still sitting out. So
I think anybody could have ran behind that line, though. I'm not going to lie; they have an awesome line there. So we'll see if he's the real deal at the
I'm
Bengals
still
because
in
the
on
Bengals
Chase Brown
don't
though.
have an offensive line.
I'm still in on Chase Brown. If you were in on Chase Brown before, this is another Tajay Spears thing. Like, go get him. Like,
Yeah,
these individuals are not going to be hard to acquire. So, like, maybe Tajay Spears. I feel like obviously if people really like him, you're going to be holding him close. But Chase Brown, you could easily go get for like a third round pick. Like, I
yeah,
think that can happen. Like, not even a
yeah.
question.
So last name here, intriguing, but could be an absolute nothing. Antonio Gibson goes to the Patriots for a 3 year, $11.2 million deal. So for the people who are Antonio Gibson owners, I think this is a bright side. The fact that a team is willing to invest in him for 3 years, I think this is a bright side. But what is this? Yeah, exactly. What happens to Ramondre Stevenson? This
Honestly,
guy was known for his pass catching and running ability. So it's kind of like, wait, are they done with Ramondre? Or is this going to be a 1A, 1B situation where they both are capable of doing both things? I think this kind of reminds me of the Titans right now, but Ramondre Stevenson's a dude. Look at him, 227 pounds. I mean, that's a brick house right there. Pretty sure Gibson is a pretty big fella too.
is he
I don't want to say I don't want to say something stupid, but I'm pretty sure he's like over 6 foot because
six
he
two?
used to be a wide
Yeah,
receiver.
6'2", 220.
Yeah. So they've
He is
got two
that's a big
big
boy.
runners, and what's ironic is Bill Belichick hates fumbling, but guess what? No more Bill. So if Gibson can figure out his fumbling problem, maybe Gibson comes away and steals this backfield. I don't know. I really don't know. Both running
I
backs are good. I think, in my opinion, this is an upward trend for Gibson, a downward trend for Stevenson. But at the end of the day, it's a coin flip. Whoever ends up being the main guy.
I feel the opposite. I think this is going to be good for Ramondre Stevenson because he's not going to have to be given the ball 24/7 again. Once again, he got injured last season because he was getting too many touches. I think
But he
this,
should be able to handle it. Though 227 pounds is a dude. That
yeah,
is
but
a he should be able to handle a full workload.
I
I mean,
am
he's
on
26, but
I am on the team of I don't really think your running back should be I you there should not just only be like an RB1, like you are bearing this person to the ground. You really need to split these touches. I want Ramondre Stevenson in this like 15 to 20th range and then give Antonio Gibson the other stuff. Like I really don't care because you got to keep these people fresh. You're doing this for 16 games. Like I want his touches to be efficient and I want them to be used correctly. I think
well, doesn't
I
that
think
like
I
doesn't
think
that
this
ruin his fantasy value though? I mean, you're talking
team.
from an NFL perspective.
I don't think so because he's going to be more efficient with his touches. He's going to have fresher legs and he's a bigger dude. So it takes a lot of work to move that body, my dude. I think this is going to be good. I think fantasy wise though, people are going to be a little bit down on Ramondre Stevenson because of this signing. So kind of like what I've been saying, the opposite of like go get Chase Brown, go get Tajay Spears. I'm not about the backup. I'm about the starter. Go get Ramondre Stevenson if you can on the cheap. I'm telling you, I'm on that wavelength right there.
All right. I don't disagree. I just don't exactly know who I want to jump on. When I look at the rest of the running back list, it's a bunch of names that we just
Yeah,
don't know.
literally.
So let's jump into wide receiver. Big names here, but not many. So this should be quicker than quarterback and running back. T. Higgins gets franchise tag but asks for a trade. If you're a T. Higgins owner, you hope that trade ends up happening. But I think regardless, even if he gets franchise tags and stays with the Bengals, you're still looking at a 200-point score. He's an awesome flex wide receiver two, wide receiver three option. He's just always going to be that guy. You're going to get to unless he gets injured, you're going to get 200 points out of him, and he's just a great team fantasy team asset. Like if he, if you find yourself in a world where he's your worst player, you have one heck of a team. You know what I mean? If he's your wide receiver five on a start two, wide receiver three flex position, and he's your third flex, you have one heck of a wide receiver core. So that's what I'm hoping happens for me in your league. I hope he ends up being on my bench, and people like JSN and Drake London take a step forward. Also with top four pick, I'm probably gonna end up with a couple more wide receivers on my team. But yeah, I I've always been a T Higgins fan. I do think he deserves to be a number one somewhere, but obviously if you have him, you're rooting that he gets traded. If he doesn't get traded, you're still gonna end up with a 200-point scorer, and you shouldn't be upset about that.
I don't own T. Higgins, but I feel like he should just. I think I would be comfortable with him just staying the Bengals. You know what you're gonna get out of him. Like, I feel like there is some risk here. Like, okay, you hope he gets
Did you
traded,
see him? Did you see him the couple weeks that Chase Edmonds, or
and
sorry,
he
that
and he did and
Jamar
he did and he
Chase
did
was
that with
out?
yeah, and even in the season and
He's a wide receiver one. I'm telling you,
but
this guy
he just
he's meant to be the leader of a team.
things get tricky, man. Like just switching teams is a bit scary.
Listen, I don't disagree because we've seen people literally crash and burn switching teams, but I think he's an AJ Brown type. I think he goes to
AJ
a team.
Brown type. That is
I think he
some
goes to a
hot
team.
fire right there.
I
Sheesh.
think he goes to a
Sound the
team.
alarm, sound the alarms. This is AJ Brown. That's wild. That is
I think he goes to another team and he's that good of a wide receiver that he commands so many. I think he commands a wide receiver one target load. I think he goes and commands 130, catches or more. And he could easily be a 300-point scorer if he's the number one somewhere.
interesting.
Granted, it's a good offense. Me as a Giants fan would love to see T. Higgins show up in the blue, but that would not be a great landing spot.
All right. This is the last question. Let's move on. But T. Higgins to any single team, what is the dream scenario for you? One team go.
Wow, that's kind of tough. Right now it'd be the Chargers.
Okay. Thank you. That's him. It's not a bad spot. All right.
I mean, also the Chiefs would be awesome, but
Anyone
don't
to the Chiefs,
a
anyone to
high
the Chiefs would be
octane
awesome.
offense.
Anyone
Yeah,
to the
high
Chiefs
octane.
would be.
Green Bay, that'd be great.
There's too many mouths to feed there now.
He would beat out that
Oh,
whole
he would
space.
be the best wide receiver on the team, but
Yeah.
still, there would be too many mouths to feed there. I'm out on.
If they signed someone like him, that whole offense would change.
It would be.
Not in terms of its fluidity, but like instead of having four names each week score a touchdown, it would be two names. It'd be like one of those other guys and T. Higgins twice.
You're wow. T. Higgins for you. I did
He's
not
a
know.
dude.
This is
If you watched his tape
this is
coming
enlightening
out of
stuff.
college and you
T.
watched his
Higgins is
tape,
a baller. He's a big
he's
dude.
a
And
freak.
he knows he does it well. He knows how to catch the football. And he his contested he can do any contested catch as well, which you're looking for. Like he is
Good
good.
man.
But I don't know. I just get nervous. All right, next name here, Mike Evans. We talked a little bit about him with Baker Mayfield, 2 years, 41 mil. Good for him. Like
It's the
it's
dream. He's gonna get 1,000 yards until he
yeah,
dies. That's
it's
just
Mike
what it
Evans.
is.
You know who
At
actually
62 years old, he's gonna be in the grave, and on his tombstone is gonna say he never got less than 1,000 yards.
Yep, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. Like he was the wide receiver 7 in PPR, and
Yeah, the guy had a season last year. It was awesome.
just literally crazy. So
My
uh,
favorite wide receiver in football right now.
Bash
Love that
Bros,
guy.
Bash Bros has him in Sunday Fun Day, and Pat has him in Farmer Brown and Friends. So
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, I'm not. If you could, I would say fancy wise, if you could get a first for him, sure. But I would definitely want it more into the mid and earlier. But no one's really going to pay that. So
If
you are you're
if you're a contender and you have him, you don't let him go. If you're not a contender and you're trying to trade for him, the
just get a little something.
the
Get a little something.
107 or later is what you're aiming for because you're not going to get the 106, you're not going to get the 105, you're not going to get the 104. So if you're blessed enough to get the 107, the 108, you're very, very happy. I would also move Mike Evans for multiple seconds.
I would more try to target a 26 first because it's super far away.
Sure, but at 107, 108 this year, you're going to get a stud guy. And I mean, obviously, you have to have a willing partner. I'm just saying, I think if someone is at 108, let's say,
No one's gonna do that for Mike Evans.
listen, if you're at, so in our league, in your league, I should say, there's only 10 total people. In my league, there's 12. So at 108, you're someone who just missed the championship by a game, right?
Yep.
So I would definitely sell my 108, which is, you know, uh, what's the guy's name?
We're on 108 right now.
Who's
We
this?
are looking
Who's the
at
guy? Who's the guy from LSU? Thomas?
yep,
Brian Thomas.
Brian
I was gonna
Thomas
say
right here.
Michael Thomas. Yeah,
Brian Thomas
So you're looking at
or
Brian
Troy
Thomas. You're
Franklin.
looking at Troy Franklin. You're looking at the tight end
Brock
Bowers.
Bowers.
Like though, in my opinion, not one of those three names are going to outscore Mike Evans. So if you're
No,
trying to win, you're a
no.
contender. I think the 108, 109, 110, 111, 112 all would be good price points to try to get Mike Evans. If you're the Mike Evans owner, you're trying to get that 107, 108, 109 if you're trying to rebuild. But I think Mike Evans is the perfect win now buy piece because he's not that expensive. The 108, nobody wants to give up a first rounder, but the 108 is not honestly not that expensive to get a top 10 wide receiver, in my opinion. That's a very fair price.
I don't think anyone would do that though. I would agree with the whole seconds thing. If you could do that, definitely do it. But I mean, definitely do
If
it.
I
I
had
don't
a
know if I
108,
actually would definitely do it. I don't know if I'm
if
gonna
I
do it.
had a contending team that had a 108 or 109, I would shop for Mike Evans right now.
That's a
Guaranteed.
interesting move right there.
I don't
Um,
have any draft picks in the first round of this year or next year in my really old. I have a team in another league that's just all old heads,
yeah,
and it's gonna burn.
you went for the ship. You went for the ship
Yeah,
though,
it's gonna crash and burn really fast. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do.
for
The way
sure.
I lost last year was unreal, but we'll move on. The next name, Michael Pittman Jr. If you have him, you're happy. He stays with his team. He's going to continue to produce. He's awesome. The next name after that, sorry to skip you, Jason, Calvin Ridley. This is actually crazy.
Crazy and
$92 million.
crazy and
dollars.
crazy in a good way or crazy in a bad way?
I don't know. They
Me,
either just wasted.
honestly, me either. I have no idea.
So the dude hasn't played football in 2.5 years, comes out last year and looked really good. But for whatever reason, the chemistry between him and Trevor Lawrence just did not work. If you watched him, I listened to another podcast talking about watching his all 22 footage, and he's always open. For
Open,
whatever reason, him and Trevor
always
just weren't.
open.
Yeah, whatever reason, him and Trevor were just not on the same page last year. Calvin Ridley was like 17 to 20 catches away from having an elite season. And we're talking like a 50-yard touchdown that was missed by like 4 or 5 yards because of inaccuracy. We're talking about a screenplay that the ball bounced off the ground where the blockers were out in front of him, and we know that Calvin Ridley is awesome in space. So for the Titans, for supporting their young quarterback and Will Levis, the Bananarama, for not good for DeAndre Hopkins. Not good for Treylon Burks.
Traylon
I
Burks is dead. I think Traylon Burks is dead.
I wouldn't say he's dead because these guys are both 31 and 29 respectively.
Dead.
But what I will say, honestly, as a Treylon Burks fan, it sucks for his current value, but he's now learning because that's what he is. Treylon Burks is Calvin Ridley. Like that's the body type he was supposed to be. 6'2", just over or near 200 pounds. He was supposed to be what's called a tall slot receiver. Slot receivers are normally small, shifty guys, but Burks is like this really fast dude who like rocks the slot. So
But
he's learning from DeAndre Hopkins,
he's a
who's one of
big
the
dude.
best route runners in all of NFL history. And now he's learning from Calvin Ridley, who just is the greatest, a very good separator for the last couple of years that he was playing football. So I think Treylon Burks is going to learn a lot about football. And I think Treylon Burks is going to be one of those rare late breakout guys. So he's like 22, 23 years old now. He's not going to be relevant for fantasy football until 26, which sucks, but I think it's definitely going to happen.
That is a lot of hope. I mean, I will definitely say this
I mean, I'm just saying it
this
because I'm
this
holding on
this
to him. I'm
this
not
moves
saying
Traylon Burks into definitely the slot area where that's what he did. That was his bread and brother and butter and Arkansas. But he
yeah.
was drafted to the Titans to be more of like a wide receiver one, and like that's just not who he is. So if anything, this will help him, but I don't think he's going to be fantasy
I
relevant.
think it's going to help him as a football player. I don't think it's going to
Yes,
help him as a fantasy player. Yeah.
correct. And but here we are talking about fantasy, and I don't think I think obviously if you drafted him, if you did a rookie draft and he got drafted like at the 103 essentially,
Yeah.
for the most part, like it was either him or Drake London for most people. If you did Burks over Drake London or you did Burks over Garrett Wilson, you're definitely hating yourself a little bit here. I just don't think he's
Yeah.
gonna.
Anybody who took Burks that early was a bad move. I think, when did I get Burks? It was later. I think it was before Kenny Pickett, but it was later. I mean, I took Drake London and Traylon Burks that year.
You
I don't
traded
remember.
you traded for Traylon Burks.
Did I? I
Yes, you
thought I
did.
drafted him.
No, sir. But he got picked at the 102. But you traded for him. You traded Calvin Ridley, actually. Calvin Ridley, Kenneth Walker, Bellinger, a third and third for Traylon Burks in 2 seconds. So
Yeah, I'll take that deal any day of the week.
definitely not terrible. I mean,
I mean, the first rounders are the best assets there.
yeah, I mean, if you go for a 23 for Ridley and a 24 for Walker, like I guess it kind of it's okay. I mean, those are definitely were some early firsts as well, though. So it's
Oh
it's
yes,
not
they were.
as lopsided as I think everyone originally thought. If
No,
you
it is.
if Treylon Burks actually hit though, then this would be wild.
I'm pretty sure that's the 101 in 2024, Jay.
Is it? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's 100% lopsided. You're cuckoo pants.
Wow, it is the 101. Never mind. That's actually nuts. Good for you. That is
And
amazing.
then and then I in 2023 I would have got a good name. Who did I get in 2023?
I
I
have no
know who's on my team. I just forget what order I drafted people.
I don't know. I can honestly check though. But there's one thing when I was on Ridley's page right there, he had 137 targets last year. That is
That wasn't Brees Hall, right? No, Brees Hall was 2 years ago. No, that was Brees
Brees,
Hall.
Brees Hall was
He
the
was
Drake
22
London.
or
That was that
23. I think he
that
was
was Drake
23.
that was Drake London year and Gary Wilson year. So 22. It was 22 Brees Hall. So you drafted Brees Hall at the 101 actually. Um
Yeah. So you got to go to the 23 draft. Oh, yeah, the 23 draft.
so Somalia ended up with the 109. No, 108. But you did do some trading that day. So I think that was yours, but then you traded forward for JSN. And you traded
Oh,
back
yeah,
with
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, Zay Flowers ended up there. It was a bad move for me. I probably should have stuck with Zay Flowers.
maybe a bit there, but yeah. Well, I should have drafted
Yeah.
Gibbs, so
Yeah, your boy just trades a lot. Sorry for the distraction, folks. All right. OBJ, irrelevant. Marquise Brown, kind of cool for the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know.
definitely cool. I'm in. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. If you're an owner, good for you. If you're not an owner, it's too late to trade for him, so it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Mike Williams, where the heck's he gonna end up? Nobody knows.
He's gonna end
Uh,
somewhere. He's gonna end up somewhere, and he is going
oh, he
to.
will. He will end up somewhere. I just don't know if he's gonna be fantasy relevant.
He will be flex relevant.
You know, it'd be cool if he ended up on Tampa Bay and then Baker just threw the deep ball either to the right or to the left every play. You either got Mike Evans going up the right sideline or you got Mike Williams going up the left sideline. And literally every play is run a 9 route, ready, set, go.
And
And
it
they'll
would
just be
it
it'll
would
just
be
be it'll
it would
just
be
be
successful.
it'll be 59 routes, right? Just verts, and that'll be the whole game plan, and it'll just be a contested catch every single time.
That's so funny.
And when you really want to get
But
in the defense's head, you just throw it to the right twice in a row.
but Mike Williams is definitely gonna go on a team. He's gonna be flex relevant. He's gonna do a little something. But the Bucks would be wild. That would be interesting for sure. But he's got to go.
Darnell Mooney to the Falcons. I like the athlete. I think it's a good football move. I don't know how much of a fantasy move it is, but that could be interesting.
A good buy low for sure, though. I mean, I'm sure a lot of
Yep.
people are. I think a lot. I think probably everybody's probably thinking the same way. Darnell Mooney was the Bears wide receiver 2 years ago, and he kind of, I don't think anyone really believed he was going to be like that alpha, but he doesn't have to be the alpha on this team. So
No.
I think he's going to slide himself into some flex relevance here, but definitely a good buy low. Seriously, if someone's
Kirk
not,
Cousins was able to support, Jefferson and Addison. So you're right. Mooney is an option.
yeah.
Gabe Davis. I think it's a load of trash, but some people like Gabe Davis.
Yeah, I feel very much the same way about this three-year deal, 39 million. Very
How
interesting.
many times are the Jaguars going to just sign mediocre players? Like, I don't
I
get
don't,
it.
I don't know. I
I
I
feel
think
really bad for Trevor Lawrence. I really do. What's their pick? Jacksonville. Oh, geez, 17. There might still be a wide receiver at 17. I don't know. We'll have to see. That's interesting. Um, all right. Tyler Boyd probably done. Michael Gallup probably done. Curtis Samuel to the Bills. That could be interesting. He's an
super weird.
explosive player, and
I
they
was
need an explosive player in that wide receiver room. I mean, we know Stephon Diggs can get himself open, but we're talking about Curtis Samuel, who is a yak guy. So that
that
could be
guy,
an
also
interesting.
also a TD guy. He knows
Yeah,
how to get open in the red zone. So I'm
yeah.
thinking,
The
I'm thinking,
guy,
I'm
and he's
thinking,
old too. He's not
uh,
like young.
yeah,
He's
I'm
pretty
thinking like
old.
like some Cole Beasley action a little bit here. So
Throwing it back. I
It's
like it.
it's definitely interesting. Not like a game breaking deal everybody was looking at, but 3 years, 24 million is I didn't think I didn't think anyone was signing Curtis Samuel for that. So I don't know. Very, very
He
interesting.
listen when he was healthy and he wasn't buried on the Washington's depth chart randomly. He did some really great stuff. I don't see any other relevant names, I should say, on wide receivers. Do you have any others that you were going to pick up?
No, I mean, I'm a big fan of KJ Osborne. He went to the Pats. KJ Osborne's always just like been a good football player. I mean, I don't think he's going to be anything with fantasy, but just like
Yeah,
a
when he's not
cool
dropping
there.
game-winning touchdown passes.
Um, who else here? No, Jalen Reagor back to the Patriots. I don't know what the heck we're doing there. Very interesting. I didn't even know Jalen Reagor was still relevant, but that was an early announcement
He's
there.
they're not. They're not. Anything on the Patriots won't be relevant for 3 years,
But
except for
yeah, I
Gibson.
mean, that's basically it. Noah Brown back to the Texans, so another little flex move there. But besides that,
Yeah.
not too much. Not a lot of
Folks,
weapons here.
this will be the shortest portion of the podcast. I promise. I promise you. Dalton Schultz re-signs a 3-year deal with the Texans. Great job. That's it for the tight ends. We don't give a crap about anybody else. I mean, there's
Hunter
names here
Hunter
people know.
Henry Hunter Henry to the Patriots. Obviously, once again, a Patriots move again. Am I a Patriots fan? Maybe. I don't really know. But Hunter
Ah,
Henry, that's kind of cool. I mean,
your wife is really converting you.
but I Hunter
The
Henry's
influence.
has never not been like he's been good on the Patriots. He's definitely was very TD dependent. So I don't know.
Eh.
We'll see something there. Definitely, people are going to be starting him at the tight end position for
Well,
sure.
people have to. I mean, you have so many teams in the league, and there's only ever three relevant tight ends a year. So every year someone's starting trash. So makes sense.
Yeah, all the rest of the stuff is really garbage. Noah Fant signing back to the Seahawks was weird. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought he was going to go to another team. Um,
So yeah, like we just basically ran through all of the most relevant portions of free agency. Uh, there was a part of me that kind of wanted to see how that affected some teams in the league. We kind of did that as we went through for a
a little
couple of
bit,
names.
a little bit.
But
Well,
here's the deal, folks. Free agency was absolutely crazy. It affected multiple fantasy teams, it affected multiple NFL teams. It's a whole new landscape this year. It definitely affected the draft. I think the draft is going to be just as crazy as free agency. I think we're going to see a bunch of trades, blockbuster trades. And folks, just hold on to the survival raft for another couple weeks and things will settle down after the draft. Get frisky, start trading each other. I mean, it's just so boring in the offseason. Let's just see someone do something crazy. All right.
so I've been talking some trades in Sunday Fun Day. I just made a trade in the Farmer Browns and Friends League as well. I traded
Thievery.
the 108 and Rondell Moore for Drake London. So we love that. That's some movement that we want to see there. Uh, But I agree with you. I think the draft's going to be crazy. I think there's a lot of teams who want quarterbacks. A lot of quarterbacks are getting hype, like JJ McCarthy. We have Marvin Harrison Jr., the generational prospect, number one prospect in since quite some time here. So Malik
Since
Neighbors,
Chase.
Doomsday, um, uh, running backs are definitely a little bit low here, but Brock Bowers, also generational tight end, like the most production wise, the best tight end that's happened since forever, literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's gonna get interesting for sure.
We definitely plan on doing some more content, fellas. I couldn't give you an exact time frame, but as we get close to the draft, we're gonna do some fun
For
stuff
sure.
and
You know, we're just we're just
definitely
we're
post
just
draft.
guys just talking and just living this life. It's
We're
just
just guys. All right. Just so everyone's on the same page, we're just
God,
guys.
we're just guys who love football and we're
I mean,
talking.
is that the new name of the podcast?
Just guys.
Just guys.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll talk about
All
it.
right, folks. Thanks for hanging with us. We know it was a long one. We'll try to dice it up for you so you could jump to certain spots, but
That's for sure.
have a good one.
All right. Peace.